July is here and it is hot, which means the lake water temps are on the rise and the fish are on the move.
You're absolutely right, Bree. And offshore, we're chasing wahoos, dolphins, and American red snappers for your weekend ahead. Right here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report and happy 4th of July. You know, Rick, this is truly one of my favorite holidays as we celebrate our freedom with fireworks, barbecues, and fishing, if you're lucky.
Well, you know what else we celebrate on the 4th of July?
What do we celebrate?
We celebrate that it's not only America's birthday, but it's your birthday.
Called out. It is my birthday.
Look at that little baby Bree.
That is baby Bree on the beach when I was 2, so that was taken a little while ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago or so.
I still have the same tan going on, so we're good. We're good. I'm still got something left.
Well, happy birthday, my love.
Thank you very much.
So
I appreciate it. All right. Well, before we see what region we're headed to first, let's say hi to our firecracker, Farrell, at the Yak Your Workbench. What's up, Dave?
I am a firecracker.
You really are.
I like to blow things up. I'll tell you
I'm
that.
sure you do.
I got in a little bit of trouble in the day. So, yeah. We're going to talk about catching pinfish and using them for bait.
Ooh, fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got a lot of good tips on that. All right, well, we're starting this holiday weekend in the Upper Fresh region on Tawakoni, Bodark, Levon, and Fork with Mike McFarland. You staying cool up there, Mike?
Oh my gosh, it has gotten so hot now. Today was the hottest day of the year so far. I didn't know it was your birthday on the 4th. I was supposed to be a 4th of July birthday, and I actually came 3 days later, July 7th.
Oh, man.
right,
Well,
you got a
happy
birthday,
early
too.
birthday.
We're still all Americans. We're all Americans.
Yes, we
baby.
are.
Tawakoni. Matt Cartwright says the bass fishing there couldn't be any better for Tawakoni. Great early morning topwater bite. Look for some bait fish or anything sticking up out of the water, like lily pads, shallow grass, weed, anything like that. And then frogs, poppers, and buzzbaits. Early morning bite only. Lake Levon, Kerry Thorne says the bass fishing there is continuing to move into summer patterns. The deep submerged timber and flooded brush pile locations are your best. Texas rig worms and creature baits. Once you catch a fish, Kerry says slow down. There's more there. They're schooled up really good. So don't, when you get a bite, you catch a fish, don't keep moving on. Fish that area for all to give you. Bodark, one of my new favorite lakes. It's such a cool lake. Early morning, it's changing there, but early morning you're looking for shad activity, a little bit of topwater poppers. Honestly, I prefer a bass assassin, a 5-inch vapor shad bass assassin in just like albino or one of the shad colors. For me, works better, and it goes a little longer into the morning. But once that sun does get up high, target the points with jigs, Carolina rigs, and shaky heads. And the same thing, once you get a fish there, you need to slow down. You can literally catch 40 or 50 fish in one little small area. And if you leave, you're back in no man's land. You're not catching anything. Lake Fork, where I guide my home lake, bass fishing is awesome. Big bass fishing is just amazing. The deep points and structure at 16 to 24 feet are offering some really, really great summertime bass fishing here. See a lot of fish in the 5 to 7 pound range. And then now we're even seeing double digits. This time of year, that's amazing. Football jigs, big worms, Carolina rigs, all that stuff is really, your typical summer baits. I personally like dragging a shaky head uphill. I run a 5/16-ounce shaky head tipped with a big worm, like the Bass Assassin's assassin worm. They got multiple sizes. I use an 11-inch, and then drag it uphill. Put the boat shallow, throw out deep, and drag it uphill, and you won't believe the big fish we catch. Best colored chartreuse tail with like watermelon candy. Red bug, plum apple. But here's a great picture and idea how big they really are. This is my client David with a giant.
Wow.
That is a giant. All right, good job.
Sweet.
Way to go, David. Good job. All right, tell me about the crappies, bub.
Levon, again with Kerry Thorne, the crappies scattered there. He says they're moving towards deep timber and stuff each day, 10 to 20 feet, minnows and jigs. Lake Fork with Jackie Wiggins. He said the crappie fishing is just as hot as the summertime weather. Deep brush piles, 14 to 18 feet. You kind of got to move around and hit a lot of the spots and try and find unpressured fish. There's a lot of fishermen on Fork fishing for crappie right now. Minnows sometimes are really good for them when they're finicky, but you pull a lot of minnows off, costs you a lot of money. So Jackie, once again, says just stay with the small hand-tied jigs. If you're missing fish, trim the feathers off a little bit, and you'll catch some of those finicky bites. And it's been, really good, best crappie fishing, I think, in the nation. Here's Jackie Wiggins Clarence with a table of some good eats.
Yeah, it's some good eats there, bub. What else you got? Stripers, hybrids?
Got stripers. Yes, sir. Stripers. Lake Levon is guide Kerry Thorne's white bass. White bass are in 10 to 15 feet. They're moving a lot. Watch for bird activity. You're in the right areas. You can actually throw small swim baits, 2 to 3 inch swim baits, and those schooling fish, and otherwise 1 ounce slab spoon, 20 to 30 feet on points. And remember, Kerry loves to attach a hair jig about 18 inches above the spoon. He'll catch 2 fish at once. Moving on to Tawakoni. Matt Cartwright said that the hybrids still have shut down there, but most of the best fishing is early morning sand bass. They're schooling on shallow points, makes for great action each day. As the lake stabilizes, we'll see these hybrids and stripers come back. And then here's a table. It's either a table of fish, I can't remember, or really just a cool picture with Matt Cartwright that I really like this picture.
All right, you got 20 seconds for kitty cats.
Kitty cats on all 3. Any lake up here is really good. Just bait you a hole the day before, sour maize, cattle cubes. Come back the next day with tub bait and you'll clean up. I mean, they're killing it right now. That's all you got to do. So thank you guys. I appreciate you and happy 4th of July.
All right, bud. Thank you so much for getting us started. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hotspots, the Ducks Unlimited hotspots from the Upper Fresh region. He says that the world-famous Lake Fork continues to produce some of the greatest big bass fishing in the Upper Fresh region. Lots of bass in 5 to 7 pound range are being caught daily, with several giant double-digit bass mixed in. Man, I'd love to catch a double-digit bass.
Oh, what fun.
Just one
Me too.
time.
One time. A birthday bass.
Birthday bass.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, summer is coming in hot in the Front Runner Boats Upper Coast region, so let the 4th of July celebrations begin with Captain Carl Weston.
Yeah, let's get her started. Yeah, Bree, it was, summer's definitely here. Like you said, it is hot right now, but the fishing's great. The water's cleared up this week a little bit, and you can see more of the bait schools moving through the bays all the way out to the Gulf of Mexico right now. And those reds are busting that topwater early morning and the last few hours of light in the evening. The topwater action is a lot of fun right now, guys. The Fight Club shrimp on a 1/4 ounce jig head is money. Most of the Berkeley crankbaits are a solid choice as well. Live bait option is going to be shrimp or croaker on a popping cork, or simply free line them over the oyster reefs right now on the points. There's still a bunch of big reds out on the jetties, out on the beachfront, along the shipping channels. Live and cut shad has been the bait of choice there, guys. I've got a picture today, Rick, of little Caston. This is Ryan's daughter with her first redfish.
Aww.
So cute.
What a beautiful girl. Ryan makes pretty babies. All right, keep rolling.
So the sheepshead bait is solid here in late June, early July, and that's kind of weird. Usually it drops off, but these are fish that are really fun to catch for all ages. You don't need a boat. They love to school around the piers and docks, seawalls. They also hang out around most marinas, around the boats. They're eating barnacles and small crabs and shrimp. So now that you got your target area there, let's bait is simple. I use small cut shrimp or fish bites in that sand flea. Rig that on a 3/0 Eagle claw treble hook and use about a 1/4 ounce clipped on split shot and put that about 2 foot above the bait, and you're going to have some fun, guys. Here is Truly with her sheep's head of the day.
Nice. Look at these babies.
Cute kids, man.
All right.
I love it.
Keep going, Carl.
So, hey, low weather is finally going to let us off back shore, offshore again. The big reds are hungry out deep. It's been a good run to catch the 10 or 15 pounders, Rick. 150 plus foot of water in that deeper structure is where you're going to want to be. Bait is ranging from cut squid, as always, and whole cigar minnows to big butterfly jigs. You can tip it with squid or shrimp, flavored fish bite. Now, if you catch live bait, guys, use it. Man, I've caught some really big snapper lately on live hardtails. And, just get up on the spot, use that trolling motor on these offshore boats is working great. That Rodan is just finding the spot and locking on. But I would say this, use some etiquette out there, guys. Don't lock on if there's a bunch of boats trying to drift a spot and block the whole thing. Don't be a spot hog. Let the guys here to catch some of these beautiful fish, too. And I don't know who in the heck this is in this picture, but hey, it's a pretty snapper.
Nice. Oh man, I think you know who that guy is.
Hiding. You're hiding.
That's Natasha's husband.
Guys, Dorado in that 200-foot range offshore, we found some nice ones the other day in a current break. Seems like that storm we had last week pushed in some prettier water. some grass mixed in with tree limbs and other debris. There's good bait in it right now. So we were tossing gold spoons and little swim baits, having a good old time catching the Dorado right now. Bring them to the boat, throw a little chum in. Sometimes you don't need to keep one hooked if you can just toss a little chum in the school, keep them around. And, you know, these little guys are just fun to catch on light tackle. I use all those, the Penn. I got a Penn ultralight spinning combo. I always have rigged just for this, and I just be laughing like a little kid catching these things. So anyways, fly fishermen as well, that's fun to do. Here we have a picture, Rick, today of Jessica with a nice Dorado.
Nice. All right, dude. You had a great report. Appreciate all the pictures. We're going to go and take a look at the Upscale Glass Company hotspots. Carl says, inshore, the redfish fish the oyster reefs of Galveston Bay for the early morning bite while throwing Fish Bites Fight Club shrimp on a 1/4-ounce jig head. And if you want to go offshore, chase those snappers in 160 to 200 foot depth range over the structure while dropping cut squid, whole cigar minos on a slip sinker rig.
The girls are just cleaning up the Upper Coast region.
Man.
I love
How
to
about that?
see it. All right, we're lighting up some fireworks in the Startron Middle Fresh region. But first, Dave Farrell is getting ready for some rigging and techniquing at the Yak Gear workbench. Looking like some traps over here.
Yeah, we're going to save you some money.
Love that.
Get your bait, catch you some nice reds and trout on the pinfish.
Gotta get your own bait. We'll be
That's
back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, as you can see, it's time for the rigs and techniques here at the Yak Gear workbench. You know, Dave, in the Murphy household, catching a pinfish is something we use a lot.
Yeah, that's how you start your day.
Absolutely.
You hit those pinfish traps and collect all your pinfish and put them in your live well and go try to catch some fish with them.
So why don't we talk a little bit about some...
Well, you know, croakers get a lot of play in Texas, and but there's, you know, you can catch, you know, pinfish in Texas. There's a lot of grass flats with a lot of pinfish on them, and a pinfish is a great bait for sea trout and redfish and just about anything that swims in the ocean that eats a little fish. And, you know, a pinfish trap is a good way to catch them. You know, you can take these off, put them, you know, find a nice grass flat with a lot of, you know, grass on it, and you can drop one of these traps in there with a little chum and maybe some squid inside and catch you a big bunch of pinfish for your day.
So I'm going to add to that. A lot of times they don't have grass in
Right.
some of the coastal regions, but what they do have is they have fish cleaning stations and docks.
Yes, right.
And the cool part about that is you could literally drop this with your chum. Now remember this about chum, guys, is the chum's only going to fish for the amount of time until the chum's all gone and diluted.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually about 2 hours. So we always add a little box of squid. You can take your pogies, you can take whatever bait fish that you have that's frozen.
Cigar minnows or
Yeah, and
pilchards
cut
or
it-
whatever.
Just cut them in half and drop 6 or 7 in there. That way, after the chum's gone, you actually have something that's fishing for you. Now, here's what's really important. Most pinfish traps, they come like this. They have the weights on the side, and then they have the entrance where the fish will come right here on the bottom. The bad news about this is if you drop this in the grass, you're covering up half of the entrance. If you drop it in the silty bottom, you're covering up half of the entrance. So now you're going to be catching these small pinfish because that's what can go in the entrance. So a few years ago, Ridge taught me this, my son Ridge, is what we do now is we rig these things to where it's actually upside down. Mm-hmm. So we put the weight, which would be on the top, and so the entrance now are on the top. And that way, if you have half of grass or it's laying in soft bottom, your entrance isn't covered and you're catching a lot bigger pinfish. You're catching the mediums and the large. Don't forget, Dave, in Texas, they got ling, or the cobias.
Right.
They also have those big trout love love pinfish. Then you
Yeah.
got the snapper fishing offshore. You got lots of things
Snappers,
that are going to eat a
groupers,
pinfish.
everything offshore will eat a pinfish on the bottom.
And truthfully, just like in Florida, that pinfish, according to Carl, he's accessible 24/7, 365. He's like number 2 or number 3 in the ecosystem.
Right.
So he's available to be caught. Remember this about that. You attach your little cord, bending on the depth, we put a little tiny cork because we
Yeah.
have a lot of thieves that like
Yeah.
to steal our stuff.
Just make sure make sure you follow the Texas law about the size of the buoy that you need, and you might even need a little gear tag or something like that. Just make sure you look it up and get all your stuff in order.
Now, if you have access to clear water, same principles apply. We want our entrance to be up off of the top, but I quit giving to the thieves. So I'm using some Berkeley 200-pound hollow core right here. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually attaching this chartreuse buoy, and this is laying in 4 or 5 feet of water, but guess what? I go up there with a little tickle gaff, or I can even just use a rod with a big jig head on it. And now this is floating, and I can reach down and grab it, and it's not exposed to the surface, and it's not being stolen.
Right. Just mark it on your GPS, and you can go
pull
right
up
back
there.
there. And a good place to put them also is next to a channel marker. A channel marker is always a good place to catch pinfish. And we say we're catching pinfish. You can also catch little croakers and other little
We
stuff
catch
in here.
crabs in here. We catch all kinds of little things in here. So that's what I know as far as Pinfish 101. I think that'll help a lot of fellas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you know? That's it? Pinfish 101, that's all we get?
That's it. That's all you get.
That was a lot. We learned a lot. All right, the Starch-on Middle Fresh region is breaking out the red, white, and blue with Matt Loescher on Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, and Richland Chambers. So get ready to reel. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Bree. We're going to kick it off, give you a report for your 4th of July weekend, starting out with the largemouth bass. We're going to start up at Richland Chambers. Water level is still high up there, but it is slowly coming down. And that's pretty much the story of the week here in the Middle Fresh region, with the exception of the lakes out west because they've been dry for a while. But all these eastern side lakes that have been really flooded, they're starting to come down, and that's definitely happening at Chambers. The water temperature there is still in the mid-80s, and things are beginning to heat up, so I'm going to look for that to come on up real soon. Kind of creeping up by the day, really, because we've had some really hot days recently. Mr. Thurman Selman with Bass Specialty Guide Service up there reports that the bass are still in the bushes there because they do still have a lot of water in the bushes, and then some of the bass are moving out on the point. He said, but the bite is pretty fair, even good some days on Bass Assassin soft plastics. So summertime stuff is definitely happening there. Now coming on down to Sam Rayburn, the water level remains very high at Rayburn, but it has begun to fall like I predicted last week. However, Rayburn is the most flooded reservoir that I know of in our region right now, but it's begun to fall rapidly. It's come down, I think, about a foot and a half since last week, so it's falling fast with this dry, hot weather. The water temperature now is in the upper 80s consistently, and I look for it to hold there in the upper 80s or even up into the mid-90s for a while. So summer's definitely setting in there, too. With all that being said, there are still bass in the bushes that you can catch on your topwater baits and soft plastics pitching in those bushes. However, I don't look for that bite to last much longer because typically when the water begins to fall that fast, the fish tend to get out of those bushes pretty fast. Even if there's still several feet of water in them, they can feel that water dropping and they will move out. So it could still be a player for you on your next trip. It's definitely worth checking, but the offshore pattern could be a better ticket for you if you're not finding the same success in the bushes that you've been having. Look out on the points and the humps for the schools of fish that are moving out. You can catch them on the crankbaits, the Carolina rigs, and the Texas rigged worms, your typical stuff for the summertime. I'm going to give you a broad depth range for that pattern. You can be as shallow as about 10 and out as deep as about 25. It can vary greatly depending on the part of the lake you're in. Generally speaking, they're going to be shallower on the upper end of the lake and deeper near the dam. So just watch that water clarity as you move throughout the lake. The clearer it is, the deeper you're going to want to focus your efforts. All right, now over here on Toledo Bend, it's a similar story here on the bend, but we're a little lower on the water level. We're all the way down below pool level now for the first time in a long time. We got below full level almost a week ago now, and we've remained on a steady fall in water level ever since. The shallow bite around the shoreline is basically gone now, but the grass fish and the offshore fish are cooperating pretty well. The grass fish, they can be far out from the bank too, but to distinguish them from the fish that are out deep and not in the grass, we're going to call them grass fish, and we're going to call the others offshore fish because they're just out in the open water. So for the grass fish, they can be as deep as about 15 feet right now. We've got grass out to that depth, maybe even a little deeper in some places. You can catch them dropping a big jig or a plastic straight down in that grass, or working a Texas rig on the outside edge of it. A swim bait or a topwater bait can also be a player as well, especially first thing early in the morning when those fish are up and cruising around the top of that grass real active early. Now, the offshore fish out in open water, they're holding about 12 to 22 feet of water. And the thermocline is as shallow as 18 feet in some areas and out as deep as 25 feet in other areas. So pay attention to that one. And when you're graphing and looking around for those offshore fish, make sure you're keeping your baits shallower than what that thermocline is, because they're not going to be deeper than that. For baits, crankbaits, Carolina rigs, and Texas rig worms are the ticket for that one. One of my personal favorites always this time of year is that Bass Assassin's tap-out worm in a plum apple color. They always seem to love that color this time of year for some reason. It works really good. And I'm going to leave you there with a photo of a client that fished with my fellow captain, Mr. Brandon O'Neill, lately, and caught him a nice Toledo Bend bass there.
All right, let's talk about the crappies, Bub.
All right, I'm going to be quick. I know I'm running short on time. We're going to talk about Rayburn real quick. Crappie fishing should continue to get better as that water falls down. It's going to continue to stack those fish up about 20 to 30 feet deep, and they usually suspend about 12 to 16 feet down around the timber and the bridge pilings. Minnows and jigs both work good for catching them. And now back over here at Toledo Bend. Hasn't been the excellent crappie fishing that we normally have in the early summer, but it's getting better. They're starting to stack up more. Catch numbers are pretty good, and we're still putting a decent amount of fish in the boat. So I'm definitely not complaining. Look for them in about 17 to 30 feet of water on the timber and the bridge pilings. That monkey milk panfish assassin jig has been the best lately, and then the live minnows are pretty good too, fished about 12 to 16 feet down. And I'm going to leave you with two photos there. Got one of the kids on the boat with a couple of big slabs and some big smiles to go with it, and then another photo back at the LTD Marina enjoying a snow cone, getting ready to clean some fish.
All right, Bub, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspot from the Middle Fresh region. Matt says that the bass are in transitioning to more of an offshore bite than at Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. The deep grass is a player at Toledo Bend too. The crappie are gathering in bigger schools thanks to the dropping water levels and are biting monkey milk colored jigs and live minnows.
Minnows. All right, anglers, get ready for the 43rd annual Key West Marlin Tournament, July 17th through the 20th, with record-breaking payouts, legendary offshore angling, and nightly festivities in the iconic Florida Keys. A Hemingway-esque adventure awaits. Make sure you get registered now at keywestmarlin.com. That's coming up real fast, and it's real fun. All right, we're heating up the grills in the Lower Fresh and Fish Bites Middle Coast region, plus talking with our friend from Abyss Battery. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Texas. Scan that QR code to see all of our social media channels. Check out our website, and we will be right back. Scan away, go shopping.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Ducks Unlimited, leader in wetlands conservation. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn, let the battle begin.
Well, as you can see, joining me is Nicholas, the CEO and founder of Abyss Batteries. You know, Nicholas, the cool part about your company is that you make a product for almost every application of fishing that we do. So why don't we just share with everybody what's so exciting about Abyss?
Sure, Rick, yeah. So we offer 12-volt batteries, 24-volt batteries, 36, 48, and 72 golf cart batteries as well, along with the fishing reel batteries.
So tell me what that means. You know, like I have in my Pathfinder, I have a 100 amp 24-volt. What is that equivalent to?
So when you're doing the math, realistically, that's equivalent to about 4 AGM batteries. So the cool thing about our lithium batteries is you can have a single 24-volt battery for that trolling motor application, and it eliminates the need of having multiple batteries in series to power your trolling motor.
It saves hundreds of pounds, without
Absolutely.
a doubt. So let's talk a little bit about, you also now are making batteries that we can use for all our electric reel applications, whether it's a kite reel or dredge reel or even a deep drop reel.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really unique product that really allows you to use your electric reel on anybody's boat. You don't have to worry about the clunky cords or the undergunnel plugs. They're really fun to use, super mobile, and ultimately a really great, fun product to use.
So now, why would somebody consider buying Abyss over the competition?
So one of them would be our internal design construction, the way our BMS is mounted, our Bluetooth features, and additionally, we don't cut any corners in our assembly and manufacturing process.
That's awesome. I'm really, really impressed with the product. If somebody out there wants to look at some of the information, where do they go to find out more about Abyss batteries?
AbyssBattery.com.
All right, man. Thank you so much. You did such a wonderful job. I'm grateful for our great relationship. And you know what, Bree? We got to go to another region.
Yes, we absolutely do. All right, let's get patriotic and reel in a big old bass this weekend with Matt Reed in the Lower Fresh region on Falcon, Choke Canyon, Fayette County, and Somerville. Happy 4th, Matt.
Happy birthday, teenager.
Oh, thank you, teenager. Oh, if only.
Let's get this thing started off in South Texas, talking about the bass. The Falcon Lake bass are biting extremely well. The game totally evolves around rock and brush piles. Key depths have been 10 to 15 feet. Crankbase Texas rigs, football jigs have been putting the numbers and the size in the boat. Ignore the heat and get in on the hot fishing. Mike Bates sent a report from Choke Canyon. Got some rain, but didn't get much water put in the lake. The water level has started back dropping. The amazing thing about that is the shallow bite has continued to be extremely good. Top water, swim baits, square bills, will catch the fool out of them in the morning. There's just a ton of them up there shallow still. Most of those are smallish. Later in the day, you want to move out to that 8 to 15 feet range. That's where you're going to find most of your bigger bass. Texas rig, shaky head, and Carolina rig 10-inch worms are your best ticket. You're going to get fewer bites, but you got a better chance at that big one. Most of his trips have been half days, and they average about 40 fish a day. A great thing about Choke is you never know when you're going to run into a big one. Greg Boyk sent a report from Lake Somerville. Still fishing very slow. Largemouth are occasionally biting well real early. Shad-colored topwater poppers and walking baits along the rocks. And then the isolated brush piles and rock piles in 12 to 15 feet. Black and plum and blue fleck worms are your best shot. Fayette County has continued to fish really well. The best bet is to go ahead and start off deep out on the main lake points and drop-offs. Carolina rigged flukes and big worms are your favorite, lure of choice. There's also a bunch of fish in the hot water discharge, and they should stay there for a few weeks this time of year. Same techniques are catching those, Texas rigs and shaky heads. Got 2 bass picks. Got a buddy from Falcon Lake Tackle, James Bendeley, with a big old falcon fish.
Nice.
You got Greg Boyk there with a Fayette County nice chunk with a big smile and a Texas Insider Fishing Report T-shirt on.
I like it.
Nice.
Way to go, Matt. Thanks for sharing the love. All right, let's talk about those big
We got
gar feet.
an alligator gar report from Falcon Lake. Ram Reyes says the water's come up a little bit, and the gar fishing has been excellent on the shallow mud flats up the river in that 3 to 5 foot range. Best baits have been cut carp and big gizzard shad, and I never failed to love the pictures of those giant creatures. I mean, they look like they belong in the ocean, but they're fresh water. That's amazing fish.
All right.
Got some catfish down there at Falcon Lake. The trophy catfish have been anywhere from 8 to 20 foot of water around structure. Live bait like shad and sloppy have been best for the big ones. Keeper catfish are in 3 to 10 feet using shrimp and stink bait. Mike Bates sent a report from Choke Canyon. Catfish are cooperating there very well. The keeper-sized blues and channel are biting stink bait and cut bait on the edge of the creek drops. Join in on that action to put some great dinner on your table.
So, Matt, I got a question for you after you tell me about the picture. Go ahead.
That's Mike Bates' mama. He always takes her on a catfish trip a couple times a year, and she just loves it.
Oh, I
love it too.
So my first question is, our director here in the studio asked me if they eat those alligator gar. Do they eat the gar?
You know, a lot of the people down there do. It is really amazing. I have never eaten alligator gar, but there is a huge demand for it down there. Now, the ones that harvest them, they do sell the meat or eat the meat. There is actually a market for it. So, you know, if they take that fish and don't release it, they are put to use and put to food, so they don't go to waste.
That's good.
All right, man. Thank you for clearing that up. I'll talk to you offline about coming down there and maybe doing a gar show with you. That'd be fun. We'll get Ram to take us both, and we can just enjoy the fishing. All right, bud, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh hotspots. He says Lake Falcon bass are biting extremely well. The game evolves around the rocks and the bush piles. The key depth is 10 to 15 feet. Try crankbaits, Texas rig, football jigs, and putting numbers and sizes are in the boat. Ignore the heat and get out there and get some hot fishing, Bree.
Enjoy the fishing. No. We're going to film it and enjoy the fishing. You're catching a lake monster. If you're
man.
Fishing
That would
for
be
gar.
so cool to catch a prehistoric fish
That
like
would
that.
be fun. That would
like
be fun.
this one.
And figure out how to cook and eat them. Right?
Yeah.
All right, we're feeling Independence Day vibes in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region as we wade for reds and trout with Captain Bink Grimes. Take us into the weekend, Bink.
Hey, we've had a dark moon the past week, and that's afforded us a minor bite at sunrise. Better bite around midday and then around the minor around sunset. A lot of water pumped back into the bay this week with the southeast wind. This time of year, if you're not fishing wrasse and mullet on the shorelines, you're probably wasting time. We're looking for slicks in the morning and wading through fan casting them with she-dogs and mirrors and bass assassins. Main bay shorelines in San Antonio, Espiritu Santo Bay are holding really good catches of trout. Slicks are showing the way up for chicken on and chain bass assassins. Wading mid-bay reefs in San Antonio Bay, much like we do in East Matagorda Bay, is paid off with bass assassins and mirror little johns. Drifting and catching limits of fish on the same reefs on live shrimp under a popper cork. We've had some light winds this week, and man, it's really been good for trout. Bass drop chocolate in West Matagorda Bay have been good on live shrimp. Most of the water's been stained, but that noisy cork has done well. The Freeport jetties holding trout on mullet and shrimp. Deep reefs like Half Moon Reefs in West Matagorda Bay has been good with light winds. Anytime we can get out there, man, it has just been on fire. And drifters in East Matagorda Bay had a tough time with winds early in the week, but like I said, here lately it's been good. And man, they're working about 5.5 foot of water and just drifting all over that shell. And Rockport, Trailer Island, Mull Island, been holding trout on sand and grass. Texas custom mirror little fat boys have worked well. There's a photo there, a nice 5-pound trout caught while drifting East Bay. Notice those twin 10-foot power pole blades on the back of my boat. Power poles are the best in the business for shallow water anglers. They change the way I fish. They change the way all captains fish, and there's nothing better. Redfish action, most of the fish are holding knee-deep water around the point, guts and drop-offs, and along the edges of the reef. Those wading with live shrimp, popping cork, or tossing the edges of the reef, picking up reds, and a lot of black drum. There's a lot of action and a lot of undersized fish that's been deposited into our bay since we had those storm tides last week. Port O'Connor anglers have picked up redfish along the shorelines and back lakes on the fried chicken-colored bass assassin sea shad, rigging them on a 1/16-ounce jig head. I like those bass assassin jig heads, love them. In Matagorda, guy Michael Roth, he's been saving some of the windy days in those back lakes. Maverick Bay, Bayou, Hidden Bayou, Green Island, Highland Slough, all have clusters of shell, and he's been doing well tossing live shrimp under a popper cork. And then in Freeport, Matagorda, Port O'Connor jetties are holding redfish this time of year. Lots of white shrimp in the bay. Our Gulf white shrimp season will open back up July the 15th, and there's just a lot of big old Charlie shrimp on the beach right now. Offshore, the wind, it picked up last week, but then it calmed again. But it's kept a lot of people close to the dock. But they went out here today and going to go the rest of the weekend for bull redfish, black tips, and gas off. Nighttime swordfish action with Michael Quebec has been great. His patter's been drifting those hilltops and domes with squid and staggering lines 300 foot down. Most of the fish have been in the 100 to 200 pound range, and they're about 75 to 80 miles out. Want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July, and fly your flags out there. Be happy you're American. Show your American pride and get out there and catch some fish.
So I got a question for you, Bink. You showed us those power poles in the picture. You guys do a lot of wading in the Middle Coast region. Do you take and just wade off from the boat and then lift the power poles and have the boat drift down to you? How do you play with that when you're out wading?
I do. In the security of those power poles, the way they get in the water, I don't even have to put out an anchor. I throw it down, and then I'll hit the button around my neck, and it'll follow me. You make those long ways. Sometimes we make half-mile ways, and man, it's a long walk back to the boat. But man, those power poles remotes reach out there and touch it, and it just lets the boat drift right to us.
Yeah, I love that about the fact that you guys a lot of times will fish downwind, and certainly if you're downwind of the boat, double tap that power pole remote. Now the boat is drifting, and all you got to do is intercept.
You don't have to walk back.
No, that's pretty cool, Bink. All right, I love it. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Mirror Lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Bink says that the trout, they are good while wading sand and grass in Port O'Connor near the jetty. On bass, sass, and sheep pups, redfish are good in Matagorda around the Maverick Bayou, and the cutoff flats on live shrimp.
Sorry, I was just having wading PTSD from the time we went with Chad in the Lower Coast
when
region.
You were all the way up to these?
Woo, yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good. Well, it was a good workout for sure.
Like
Chad was way behind me.
You look like an NFL star coming back to the boat. Yeah, kicking them legs up high.
It was a good workout.
Could have gave us a old Heisman.
I could have, but I didn't. All right, the Sea Sucker Lower Coast Region captain has the perfect 4th of July fishing plan for you. But first, Dave has new product perfection for you at the Yak Air Workbench.
Got some really good stuff today.
Ooh, pretty.
Nice belt and a really cool LED trailer guide-on kit.
Nice.
Perfect. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Island Lures, Tournament Tackle, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Mirror Lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the Power Pole Charge. And you know, the reason why I love this battery charger so much is it's 4 systems in one. Remember this, it's very lightweight, the lightest charger that I know of, with it being 8 pounds. The other thing that I love about it is I have the ability now to charge my batteries when I'm running back to the boat ramp after using them all day long. So certainly that's something that I like. But also a third feature that is really one of my favorites is I have the ability to transfer the charging from the engine to the trolling motor batteries, and I can charge that way. Or if I need to charge up my engine battery, I can simply slide through the app and make all that power go towards that engine battery. So I have the choices when it comes to being able to what I'm going to charge. And the fourth reason I really love it is because of the emergency start feature. I have the ability to click on the emergency start feature, use the battery juice that I have stored, and guess what? Jump that battery so that I can get home from being 20 miles out in the Gulf. If you have any questions about the Power Pole Charge, simply go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week. Well, Dave, we're here at the Yak Gear Workbench, and it's time for the Taco new products. And Dave, you know, I love how TH Marine just has every accessory imaginable.
Even ones you can't imagine. And that's the TH Marine LED trailer guide-on light kit, and it's made to fit on your, you upgrade your trailer because those things fit right on your guide poles. You can put some PVC 2-inch PVC guide poles on your trailer to help you guide the boat onto the trailer. And what this does is you can mount these right on top of your two guide poles, and it's another set of brake lights, turn signals, everything.
Yeah.
It's and they're really bright. They're waterproof, submergible. Comes with 10 foot of wire, so you just plug them into the existing system in the trailer.
Yeah.
And great visibility. Like I said, they're fully submersible, easy to install, and they're DOT, SAE, and STI approved, so you can use them on the road. And just if you're putting your boat on the trailer in the dark, boy, you got two big beams right there showing you where you turn the lights on the truck, and boom, you got big lights to guide you right on the trailer.
What I like about this is in the dark when the boat is not on the trailer.
Right.
After you get in late, and
Right.
it's hard to see the trailer.
Correct.
When you're backing down.
I have that problem anyway with my little trailer. It's so small and little, I'd lose it, but I dang sure wouldn't lose it if I had a set of those on my
Where
boat.
do we go to find them?
thmarinesupplies.com.
All right.
Next, we have the ceramic wax and seal from Starbright. It's a ceramic infused formula that provides the ultimate surface protection for your boat or your RV or even your car. Any stains won't get on your paint. UV won't hurt it. It just tough, long-lasting top layer that pretty much seals off your paint. Water won't bead. Water won't stick to it. Salt water won't stick to it. Everything beads off it like nothing you've ever seen before in your life.
The craziest thing you've seen.
Yeah, dirt, salt, dust, nothing sticks to it. Ceramic.
Can I add?
Go ahead.
So we have now treated 2 Pathfinders because of this. I just got rid of my old one, so when I was getting it ready to sell, I treated it with this. It's so simple, guys. You take a house sponge, put this on the sponge. You're gonna wipe it on this way, and then you're gonna wipe it on this way to make sure. Non-skid, slicks, the floor, everything.
Yeah.
You can put it on your cowling, you can put it on your windshield, you can put it on your Garmin, you can put it on everything.
Right.
The key is you wipe it on, and before it dries, guys, you wipe it off.
Yeah, try to do a small 4x4 area.
Exactly, but it's
Right.
that quick. It took all of 25, 30 minutes to do the top of a 23 bay boat.
Yep. Candy-like shine is what it gives you. Outlast traditional wax. And once you've got it on there, you pair it up with that the touch-up, ceramic touch-up.
The detailer.
Yeah, the detailer works great. Starbright.com.
All right, tell me about this AFCO belt.
Next, we got the AFCO Socorro belt. It's a fighting belt. It's perfect for 50, 80-pound tackle, but it's you can also use it with 30 or whatever gear you really want. Extra thick UVA pad on the back. It's vented, so it doesn't make you sweat as much. Really, engineered and contoured for your thighs and everything.
Right.
Ultimate comfort, good leverage.
We can turn this for the gimbal up and down.
It's got a stainless gimbal. You can do it up and down and side to side, however you like it. Double box stitch, 2-inch nylon straps, heavy duty aluminum on the top. Just a really nice belt. This belt will look like this 10 years after you get it.
AFCO.com.
AFCO.com.
All right, quickly, 40 seconds for the...
Well, we got the Savage Gear needle jig. It's ideal for deep dropping in stronger current because it doesn't have a big profile. It's long and narrow. The needle jig attracts groupers, snappers, amberjacks, cobia. Tuna will eat it. Wahoo will eat it. King mackerel will eat it.
Look at this
Cast easily.
reflection. Look at the reflection.
Cast easily. Knives through the water. Flat fall action comes in a lot of different sizes, from 5 ounces all the way up to a 16 ounce. 6 different colors. High quality holographic
Tell me
finish.
that doesn't look like a needlefish.
It
Dave.
does. It does. And you can use that in any kind of water. So.
SavageLures.com.
SavageGear.com.
Yeah. Okay. very good.
And that belt makes all the difference. And me turning, my old age, I'm probably going to need it more now for the back.
Yep.
All right, so that's my present from you guys. Before we send you into the weekend, we have Captain Chad Kinney, who's showing off some stars, stripes, and American red snapper in the Sea Sucker Lower Coast region. Let's go, Chad.
I tell you what, 4th of July weekend, can't believe it's right here. It's going to be a good one. It's a perfect time to talk about seasucker.com. I've been using the rod holders, cup holders. They got everything, tools, stuff like that. I've been using them on my big boat, bay boats all over. Check that stuff out for the weekend. I'm sure you might need an extra holder on there. But talking about inshore, the South Padre Island's been really good for some trout fishing along the long bar there, also along the ICW, and then head over to Gaswell Flats. They've been kind of scattered, guys, on redfish. Our tide's been up, but they've been dropped back down to normal. So some of those fish are showing up also along the Gaswell to head over there after you finish your trout fishing up. With these calmer winds we've been having, except for maybe, on the long range here, we got some weather coming to us. But this weekend for 4th of July on out through Saturday, Sunday, should be really good. Head up to the Long Bar out of South Padre. Really good numbers of trout. The water's trout green looking. So early, if you get out there, try some mirror lure top water action really early along those edges of the grass bed and those guts and the drop-offs there. You can also try some saltwater assassin sea shad with the 1/8 ounce Eagle Claw jig head. Just work those guts, same thing, the drop-offs, the grass beds, use a little bit slower retrieve. Sometimes those trout will be a little bit deeper on that. If you're using some live bait, then they've been really thumping the croaker. The size of the bait we've been getting, I've been kind of pairing it up with a 5/0 Eagle Claw right now later in the season on the Kill Hook. Later in the season, we'll be jumping that up. And to just free line that into those same areas where you're fishing, you can power pull down and hit those guts or make some drifts right through there. Remember on the live bait, if you are doing that, those trout always eat that bait head first, pretty much, and hook that in the tail on the hook. So let them thump it a little bit, let them bend the rod a little bit, and then set the hook, and they'll be hooked right on the side of the mouth there. Going over to redfishing, like I said, it's been a little slow with the higher tides, but it's just dropping back, so it's kind of starting to pick back up. We've been fishing at Gaswell Flats out of South Padre Island. Drift fishing's working real good. We can wade fish with that also. Some weedless gold spoons working good, or some saltwater assassin. The soft plastic's working good. If you get a paddle tail on there, it helps with a little bit more action in that shallower water. Pop and cork also working really well if you got some access to some live shrimp. That's kind of hit and miss with the bait shops, but that's working also good. Or you can put a soft plastic, that 3D shrimp made by Savage Lures, savagegear.com. They got a 3D shrimp on there. Put that on the pop and cork and work that with a little bit shallower leader on there, and works really good. Just work that area, and the key thing on that, once you get through some fish, you find a few fish and be scattered. If you're drift fishing, make a wide path. Go way back around, start your drift again. Don't turn around, go straight through. You blow all the fish out. So go make that and repeat the drift. You have some good stuff. So moving over to offshore, the red snapper fishing. Federal waters remains excellent. We got some of the best snapper fishing, I think, in the world down here. And there's been some good wahoo, some really good numbers out by the Weather Buoy and K Buoy out of the lower coast here. So red snapper is in full swing right now. There's plenty of action out there. I get out there and use an Eagle Claw trocar jig, put a fish bite strip on it for some really good scent. Really smack them. Work the middle of the water column, and you'll have really good success with doing that. Also, I've been using that savagegear.com, that squish jig. Get that squish jig. It sinks a little faster, but flutters a bunch. It works really, really good, and it's pretty hardcore. What I've been using as far as tackle and reels, I've been using a Penn 6500 spin fisher. You get a battle or a spin fisher, anything you got there, but get that blue Carnage jigging rod with it. That jigging rod works money. It has plenty of action, but it has backbone that pretty much land anything you want to. And moving over to some wahoo, there's been some good numbers of wahoo, actually, like I said, by the Weather Buoy and some of the few rips out there. Head up to about 300 foot of water, look for some weed lines, color changes, make a few passes by the buoy, throw some Savage Max Sticks rigged with wire. Also in your spread, hit some Islanders rigged with wire also, and put some ballyhoo on them. And a little trick there I've talked about before, but guys haven't maybe seen, just get a longer shank like Eagle Claw hook. It puts that hook farther back into the bait on that ballyhoo, because those wahoo like to short strike at all times. So if you get one that's set way back there, you get a lot more better hook set ratio on that. Total about 7.5, 8 knots. Work that structure, work the weed lines, and we've been having some good reports of double-digit days out there on the wahoo.
Well, Chad, I got a quick question for you, real quick. You said the croakers get eaten by the trout head first. You like cooking the croaker in the tail? Is that what I understood you to say?
Yeah, we hook it right under the belly right there, and that way they can swim head down. And when you twitch it up, it'll get them out of the grass, and they're going to swim back down. So those fish always eat it head first, so you got to give them a little bit of chance to get down to that Eagle Claw tail hook.
I like it. That's a cool little trick. You're still adding that little shaker rattle thing that you put on it?
Fish a little shaker weight or a little rattle on there if you're fishing that 5 to 7 foot of water. If you're fishing 2-3 foot, just go straight free line.
All right, man. Thank you for reminding me of all this stuff I forgot. All right, bud. We'll talk to you later. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower coast hotspots. He says inshore, the trout fishing is good at Long Bar out of South Padre Island. There's been a few redfish drifting into Gaswell Flats, so look for them as well. And then offshore, head offshore for some excellent red snapper fishing. There's been some wahoos out by the Weather Buoy as well.
I'm going to the Weather Buoy.
Little rattle thing.
A little rattle thing.
Little rattle
I couldn't
thing.
remember what his little deal he puts on there, and you click it.
A little dealio with the
click,
rattle
click,
thing.
click.
I'm sure it works. Money, like
Yeah,
he
man.
just said.
If you make a noise, you're catching
You're
them.
doing good. You're doing good. All right, well, it's 4th of July. We're off to the
Happy
fireworks
birthday,
show.
Bree.
Thank you
Happy
so
birthday.
much. Everybody be safe out there this weekend. Lots of boat traffic.
Keep an eye out for that hurricane.
Yes, keep an eye out
yeah.
for that hurricane.
Coming their way.
And have a good weekend. Send us your photos and happy fishing.